Hello and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today I am excited because I am going to talk with two people who probably know a little bit about what I've gone through, and I know a little bit about what they've gone through because they're brother and sister. I work with my brother, but same thing in a family business. And if there's one question I get probably the most, it's how to interact in a family business. How does first generation hand to second generation? How does siblings work together, divide and conquer to build great companies? I was fortunate enough to, I've met them prior, at least one of them prior, and then they were here on a tour a couple months back. And selfishly, I'm also interested to talk about how they do what they do. We are HVAC, plumbing, electrical. But there are aspects of those trades that I want to get better at. And in talking with them, they are really good at what they do. And so I think listeners are going to both get a lot of kind of the family dynamic stuff, but then also they're fantastic operators and they built a really great business. And how can we take lessons from them and implement them in our own business? So without further ado, would like to welcome the GM, Miss Lydia Brewster, and the VP, JB Brewster of Aqua Clear down in lovely Tennessee, to the podcast. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to talk with you guys. As I said, Tennessee, all I can be reminded of is like, if there's one state that everybody in this building asks when we're going to go to next, it's Tennessee. And I'm like, I could staff a company of 50 people down there by I'd have to replace them all here, but they would gladly move to Tennessee. So I know they are very jealous of you guys, but let's jump in. And as I said at the outset, brother and sister working in a family business. So like, let's start off with just kind of like the origin story. Where did the company start? Obviously started by your parents, and then kind of you guys are kind of taking the reins. Tell me a little bit about the kind of the origin story and how things happened, and feel free for you both to kind of chime in on that. Maybe you remember it differently in certain parts, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the good thing is we are redneck down here, but we're not married or anything. I didn't marry my sister.
Good.
But no, my dad started in 2005. So we moved up here from Alabama because he had a non-compete, and he started in his dad's garage, door knocking, selling water coolers. So that's how he got his start. And then I joined after college, but whole life, working home shows, installed truck, the warehouse every day after school. So, seen all aspects, but didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, growing up, Dad always said, like, you have to play a sport or have a job. And obviously, having a job at Aqua Clear was the easiest barrier to entry, and we would make the most money doing that because we could get unlimited hours. I don't think we were actually on the payroll legally ever, but we definitely worked at the family business. And yeah, it's been fun. So we've kind of, I wouldn't say that Dad forced us into it. He laughs sometimes and he's like, I never thought my kids would work with me. And now all of his kids have worked with him. And his nieces and nephews and his sister, and his dad was our accountant for like 10 years. So it's just been really special to see like how we've grown Aqua Clear and allowed family to interact in that. So we've gotten a little flavor of everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that, when you have that right, I think when you have it kind of, it's set up right. And I was much the same way. Like my dad never forced me. My brother and I played sports, 3 sports at high school, played football in college. Like we were always playing sports. So like jobs were like, they were like, okay with that. Like as long as you're doing something, you're good. And we would work in the summers, and I don't think we were on the payroll. We probably just got paid in pizza or, whatever it was on a Monday night. But, what are some of the like memories that you guys have? I mean, obviously your dad starts this in 2005 and starts it out of the back of the garage. Like what were some of the feelings that you had, or maybe some of the lessons that you like think about, like watching him do that you guys kind of carry over into the business today? I feel like I have like all of these like things of like, oh, I remember when he did that. And like, I didn't get it then, but like now it's like, oh, it's coming back to me. Like that's how it was instilled in me.
I would say the work ethic is insane. Dad was always working. He was always at the business. And I think owners and leaders who are present, I think they have the most impact. So it's definitely something that I've seen. Like I want to be first in, last out, because that's what he was. And that's what made a really great culture of just always being reliable and always showing up. So I just feel that a lot in myself. Or if I'm not here and I take a remote day, I feel super guilty. So I take the toxic side and the good side of that. I love that aspect of him. And like, he's so humble. Like he asks his team questions. Like he's not better than anyone else. He's not a better decision maker than anyone else. Like no matter what level you are in the company, if you have an idea, like he wants to see it through and talk it through with you. And then when he has an idea, he wants to ask a few people in that department too, just to see if it's a good idea. So those are the two things that I absolutely love that I take from him growing up in the business.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think he, like even us coming in, after college and stuff, he gave us a ton of leeway and flexibility to try things, which I've been in a lot of other businesses, and I feel like the owner shuts it down pretty quickly because he thinks it's his way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, the things we did really worked out and made money, made the company better. But, there was definitely some failures along the way, but he let us have that freedom. And I think that is a super big gift, if you're in a family business, to give people enough freedom to try things and not shut them down, if they fail once or twice.
Well, I don't know your dad, but I think our dads should probably meet because there's a lot of similarity in that. If there's one thing I remember, it's like he let me do some of the most off-the-wall things. And I'm like, why is this guy who started this business? My dad started back in '86. I came in 2011, so I'm like in my early 20s. And I'm like, you're letting like a 20-something who has no idea about any of this, has been here for like 18 months and like, yeah, let's go try it. Let's go figure this out. Like, that sounds like a good idea. I think that's the one thing I'm most scared about. Like I have very young kids. They'll be 8 and 5 here next month. But like, thinking about like if they were ever in the business, like how would I react? Would I be as open to like allowing them the leeway and all of those things? So I think that's extremely awesome and good for you, and probably why it works, right? Sounds like there's been kind of a handoff of sorts.
Yeah, I will say he makes us fully explain everything, and he has a million questions before we actually implement. So it's not, there's reins, okay, but we still gotta ride the horse. But he does thoroughly vet everything that we do before we do it. Unless we ask for forgiveness. We do that sometimes.
Let's talk a little bit about the business. So I said at the outset, you guys do something that is maybe untraditional is not the right word, but like you're very like laser focused on kind of this one aspect in water treatment, water systems, different stuff like that. You're in East Tennessee. And you're selling what I always say is like a problem that a lot of people don't even know that they have. Tell me a little bit about like how that's been. Like obviously, like most listeners probably in their traditional trade, you guys are really like specializing in this like, sector of plumbing that I think a lot of plumbers try to focus on, but are never very good at doing. So tell me a little bit about the business and like how you guys have like grown it and kind of articulated a problem that a customer doesn't know that they yet have.
Yeah, so you would put us in the home improvement category, not home service, because it's a product people don't have to have. And it's an unaware market. Like you go to some markets like Ohio, Arizona, Las Vegas, most people know what a water softener is. But in our market, it's unaware. Now we've branded for, 20 years, so people know us now, but definitely an unaware market. So the hardest sale we make is getting in the door. And then we have a very dynamic presentation that sells the sizzle and shows the why. And I think why plumbers miss out is because they're used to selling to problems that exist. Your water heater's out, but they don't educate to the level that we do. And that's why they don't sell a lot of the products like we do, because we're a lot more educational and have the process dialed in. It could be a 2-hour presentation.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like the unaware market side is really nice because you have to sharpen your axe. Like you have to actually get good of your trade in order to do it. So I think like Weldon Long will mention like, hey, when I go in a house, I look at this house and I think, what is every single thing that I could do here and how could I help this client? That's kind of how we walk into it, is like, what could water treatment fix here? So like say that a plumber goes out to a client's house, and people who understand water or plumbing will get this, but if I test the water and it's 1 grain hard, okay, most people would consider that soft. That's not soft. For a family of 4 people, that's 15 pounds of rock through your house a year. 15 pounds of rock through your water heater, through your dishwasher, through your washing machine. So you can pretend like that's soft and not solving a problem, but I can promise you the wear and tear on that, on your appliances and your faucets and your fixtures, is still going to affect it. So most people will be like, it's only 4 grains hard, like you don't need anything, when really they do need something, and you just need to educate them and let them make the decision, right? Like if I'm 10 grains hard, I might really be affected by that, 150 pounds of rock through my house, but so is the person who has 1 grain. So it's kind of an education point where like fully understanding the water chemistry and how it affects things. And that's where we became really good at our trade, because we had to know it in order to sell it. Because it's not something that's super obvious that everyone's calling and asking you for. You have to go out there and figure what you need to do for them based off their water quality.
That's such a great point. I actually had a conversation with a plumber one time, and I was like, tell me like the difference between like a service call and a sales estimate. Like, you mark them differently in Service Titan, like, hey, this customer called, their faucet's broke. Okay, cool. Or they can't figure out why they can't get hot water. And then there's I want a price on a softener. And like the plumber like looked at me and he's like, when it's like, they just want I don't know what to do. Like, it's like, well, I need to go diagnose something. They're like, no, I don't need anything diagnosed. I want a softener. Like, that's what I want. So I think it's such a great point of like sharpening that axe. I think I wrote that down, of like, hey, how do we get, it's it's totally different, than, diagnosing anything.
Yeah, if I was you all, you're dealing with the issues that come from bad water quality. You were literally there when the problem is the highest because of bad water quality. When you're replacing a water heater, if you cut that in or you drained it and you showed the sludge, and you say, Miss Johnson, I'm going to be replacing this. Let's have a water specialist come out and test the water so this doesn't happen again in 5 years. That dude comes in, does a dynamic presentation, you bundle it, you raise the warranty on the water heater because they bought this. Like, you were at the bleeding edge of the problem, and you're at the highest point when you can sell it.
Yeah. And that is why I'm going to make time to come down there. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what you guys are doing. So I told Lydia this when she was here. I was like, all right, you guys are thinking about a new facility. I'll trade you prints for teaching me how to sell water softeners. How about that? Fair trade? But no, I think that's fantastic, and a great point too. I think we just have to kind of take a step back sometimes and really understand what it is that we are trying to solve for that customer. Is it a problem that they have, or a problem that we can maybe prevent into the future?
We do tell our team members on site, but we also teach our offices, and this is something that JB has really brought into the business, is we're upstream thinkers. So every solution that you're dealing with right now has a reason that it happened. So where do you go upstream and solve that problem for a client? For us with water chemistry, obviously that gets super technical and detailed, but same thing for HVAC and plumbing, right? Like, why did their water heater go out? I could replace their water heater, but I'm doing them a disservice if it's going to go out in another 5 years because I didn't add them a softener. So I tell my team, now JB and I are different on this, so this is fun, you get yin and yang. I tell my team that we don't sell anything here at Aqua Clear. All we do at Aqua Clear is solve problems. If you can't tell me why you sold that person that thing for how much you sold them for, like, what problem did you solve? Like, I require it in my Service Titan forum. Like, what was the reason the client bought this product? And then like we review the water chemistry to make sure we're selling the right things too. Like I don't want you selling a dechlorinator if they have no chlorine. Like, right? Like you're not supposed to be selling the wrong thing. Like we're not here just to sell and make money. We're here to change water and change lives. And that's our slogan. And we try to bring it into every single solution. So I think my guys got really scared whenever they're like, oh, I'm just here to sell something. You know, technicians who are in the field. And I'm like, no, you're not selling anything. All you're doing is trying to solve a problem for them. And you give them the solutions. They don't have to take it. But all you got to do is you have to educate them because you are the professional who solves problems. And that really changed the numbers too. But
we don't refer to our clients as customers. Customers is transactional and language matters. So everyone's a client because we view ourselves as that client's under our protection, and a customer is just transactional. So we're in business to have relationships with clients, not, be transactional with customers.
It's not just about the money.
Obviously, you've just said a couple of things that kind of sparked my interest in kind of the people side of things. Language matters, training our people on, how we view what we actually do. You may have come to us and you think that this is what we do, but actually, I'm here to tell you this is how we view that. How do you do that, Lydia? This is kind of your side of things. And I think that if I'm talk to anybody in the trades, I catch a lot of flack for this online, which is fantastic because I love having this conversation of there's no one to hire. There's no good people out there. Like, how do you, and I'll direct this at Lydia and JB, feel free to jump on in. But what do you guys, how have you guys solved that problem?
Yeah, this is so fun for me because everyone loves to complain, but nobody loves to fix the actual problem. So I definitely run into the same thing, right? Like I do think that cultures have changed. I do think that people are different and the way that you approach them are different. So if you use old tactics on a new generation, I do think that they fall short. And we're going to see that in marketing. We're going to see that we see it in hiring right now because that's where it's coming from the fastest. So I think this is something one of my friends said to me the other day, but I think that people don't approach people with curiosity anymore. Like I don't talk to you to learn about you and understand who you are. So that's the way that I approach people whenever I'm doing phone interviews. So something really cool that we do is my first interview is a phone interview. So I ask you 5 questions. Okay. Write this down. Hurry. Get your pens. I ask you, what's your dream job? If you could have any work schedule or shift, what would it be? Like if you could work any days a week, any times a week, what's your dream, right? And then what are the hours a week you want to work? Like, do you want to work full-time, part-time, half-time? I don't know. And then dream job, dream hours, dream shift. What does your dream manager look like? And then what's been your favorite job in the past? And then I dig down on that favorite job. So what does this tell me? Does this tell me, are they willing to work Monday through Friday, 7 to 6? I don't care about that. Most people are willing to do whatever they want. Do you think they're going to stay in this job if it's not exactly what they want? What if I interviewed a girl yesterday who she would love to work Friday, Saturday, Monday. But my job, said Monday through Friday. So I could literally have weekend coverage that I wasn't even trying to hire for that I would absolutely love. If I didn't ask her that question, I would have limited her in a box and she would have had to pay for childcare. Where if I just talked to her like a real person, asked her what she wanted, I can make her dreams come true and my dreams come true. So I try to say that, I'm actually hiring you because I want up there to be your dream job. So if I don't even know what your dreams are, I can't even go to say whether Aqua Clear could be the final resting place for you, if it could be your career, if you could stay here and retire here. But obviously that's our goal, to hire people. So that's why I always approach it with I care about the person and I care how they react. And I also want to know, are they positive, negative? How do they answer questions that they've never been asked before? Because I promise you, I ask people these questions. They're like, no one's ever asked you that before. And I'm like, oh, take your time. I'd love to hear what you think. Let's talk through it, right? And then when they come into the in-person interview, we actually do a job shadow day. So this is something that everyone on my team says is a game changer. And it's really cool on the recruiting side too, because I'm like, hey, we actually care about what you think about this job. You might be applying for a job online, but it's so hard to tell what it's like in person. So we actually like you to come on site and spend, per office and warehouse, it's 2 hours on site. For the technician one, it's the full day in the truck. and they actually do a job shadow, cool ride along day. And they get to see what's the job like. They're hanging out with one of my coworkers for literally hours on end. So I get feedback from a coworker, right? Do you even want this person on your team? And they're like, yes or no. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. Like, you get final say kind of thing. And I'll ask my coworker questions like, how often were they on the phone? How many questions did they ask you? Did they seem interested in the job? Would you like them on your team? Right? So I want to debrief my coworker who was with them. And then I want to debrief the person. Hey, did you like this job? If they didn't come back from the job shadow, like beaming ear to ear, excited about this work, I normally don't hire them, right? Like almost, if you didn't come back smiling and excited to talk to me, you're probably not going to love. If you didn't love day one, you're not going to love day two, right? And you're not going to love day 9.
I just wrote down like 7 things. I think you answered the question. If someone didn't write down all of that stuff, which is gold, then they're missing out. Good thing with podcasts, you can rewind it and write those things down.
And, when people are complaining about anything, basically what's behind that is the way that I used to do something doesn't work anymore, and I'm not willing to change it, or I don't know how to change it. So when people are complaining about labor, it means I used to hire this way and it worked, and now it doesn't, and now I'm frustrated and I'm blaming the younger generation in this, and I'm not willing to change myself. That's how I think about it.
And that's like, we know guys in the water
100%.
Yeah, we know guys in the water treatment space who are still trying to hire someone for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, okay, cool.
I get bad people. Well, what's your comp plan, brother? Well, 15 is what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, all great points. I think what you said kind of as an overarching point, which I would highlight, is kind of like in today's generation, we have to meet people where they are. They're not I work Monday through Friday and I work and work and work. Like, people value their free time. So how are we going to meet them where they are? And I think the other piece of it is we've been in the trade so long that it's like, well, this is the schedule. This is how we have to work. And it's like, well, there's a lot of people out there whose spouse is a nurse and works like, I remember my wife has a ton of friends that are nurses. And I was like, why aren't you working today? And they're like, well, my schedule is like, I work like, and I'm like, oh my God, like we could have different shifts, cover our needs and our customer needs, and people are okay with that. I always ask people when they're like, well, no one will work on the weekend. It's like, I think I go out to eat on the weekends. There are people at the restaurant working. There are people that work Sundays. There are people that work Saturdays. We just got to meet people where they are. And oftentimes, they can solve our problems, which I think is interesting.
And then something interesting to think about, that I used to be in sales, so I would, go in homes and sell. I did that for 2 or 3 years. And what I noticed is every time I went on vacation or took a break, I would come back and hit my numbers the best. So if you want to just I think of our salespeople as like thoroughbreds, like they're a horse or something, right? You got to take care of your body, your mental. The best people do this. If you took their numbers after they take a vacation, I promise you they're higher. So you have to think about how you can stack that where people can't burn out. And even though they rest, the numbers come back up. It's crazy. If you can watch them rest and they come back super hard. 1, because they spend a lot of money on vacation and they want to get it back. And 2, just because they're rested.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I talk a lot about like our installers like this, and I'm like, the way that we kind of pay them and structure them, it's like, well, a lot of times they're only working maybe 3 days a week. They'll work full weeks when it's busy. But I'm like, guys, like, I played sports. Like, you can't go every single day, and this is hard work. Like, this isn't like sitting at your desk, and nothing against that. I sit at my desk most of the day. But these guys are working hard. Like, they need time to recuperate.
And if you think about your best ideas that moved the business, they didn't happen when you were working. They happened when you were doing something, driving, and your mind was relaxed. And when you're in the white collar setting, you got to give yourself space to think.
Yep. Absolutely. So you talked a little bit, Lydia, about like the interview process. The job shadow, I think, is phenomenal. I love that because there's no better person to tell you if this person's going to work out than the guy that's going to be on his team and have to pick up the slack when they don't show up or they're not doing a good job or so on and so run their warranty call, all of that stuff. So what is the rest? Because I've been preaching this, like the onboarding process, like it is like sacred to us, like that. We are not done recruiting until they make it 90 days. We are still trying to sell them on why they came to work here and what that's about. So give me a little bit of like what that onboarding process is like for you guys. I'm guessing there's a lot of nuggets in there that people can take and implement in theirs.
I like it. So like I said, we don't sell here at Aqua Clear. And then there's one other thing that we don't do is we're not a family. Okay. Our coworkers are not family. We're a team. Because, I would pick this person if he wasn't my family, but you can't pick your family, right? You're just stuck with them. You're just given them, right? So my team has the full power to pick who works with them. So they get job shadow days. They get to say whether this person gets hired or doesn't get hired. They get to bring ideas to me and bring things up. I'm the coach who gives them the plays. They're the ones who run it. So if they have a decision that needs to be made, they make it, right? Say that they have a schedule that needs to be worked around, we work around it. So we're constantly working together as a group. We watch film together, right? So we're seeing, hey, how was his recording on that call? What did he say, right? What was his feedback? What was his notes? What was his pictures? Did he do this good? Did I do this good? Did you do this good? So we're constantly communicating between departments and saying to every single person, continue to communicate on what they could do better. So whenever an onboard person is coming in, what their schedule looks like is the first day is like a culture day, right? So they come in, they do HR paperwork, we do PowerPoints, we talk about what Aqua Clear stands for, we do our values, and then we like to show them what we do differently. And so we basically just get that out of the way in the beginning, and I set the culture and I set the tone, and then every other day after that, I'm going to remind them of that. And that should be for the rest of their career. Like my onboarding literally never stops. If you've been here for 10 years, you're still coming to a training meeting once a week. And you're going to, I think you guys call them go-backs. We call them recalls. We have a recall meeting once a week as well. Now we're not perfect and we're busy and we're a small family business, so we'll skip weeks every now and then. But we're constantly learning and training. So what does a new hire see whenever they come? They see the weekly meeting where we provide breakfast, okay? Breakfast is important. My best friend, since I was like 10, she stayed in this mortgage collecting job, like calling people and asking for a mortgage. And she got paid like $17 an hour or something. Horrible job, soul sucking, sucked. I was like, why are you staying in that job? You hate it. And she goes, well, they give me lunch every Friday. I said, they do. You, what? And I was like, oh, screw that. I'm giving my team members one meal a week at least. So then, since then, I've gone to Chick-fil-A, or Dad and I rotate. We go to Chick-fil-A every Wednesday morning and bring biscuits. And we do a weekly meeting and weekly breakfast. Because if she's going to stay in that job, I'm going to make my team stay in this job.
Yeah, one pro tip on food. We wanted to encourage our team to sell air systems, and we would do like a spiff. And I was like, people love food. I'm going to spiff $100 on their ramp card if they sell an air system. And that worked so much better. And then my dad wanted to take it away because...
We did take it away.
Take it away because now you could win a trip to Prague. So I took it away and it was just a whole upheaval.
They were...
So I had to bring it back.
And we brought it back. So they were like, screw Prague. I would rather just have lunch for the week.
Yeah.
So,
Hold on. So what is this? What is this card you speak of?
Oh, ramp?
You don't know what ramp is?
No. Please do tell, because I've been thinking.
Ramp is
I think I know what it is.
Yeah, ramp is like your company credit cards, and then we run all AP through it, all banking. It's all automated.
All
Dude, it's crazy.
reimbursements?
But basically on their ramp card, I can allocate funds depending on the, I could say, here's $100. You can only spend it at restaurants, and I can set, basically their cards are locked down to only be used on fuel.
And parking.
But I have an air lunch perk that I pick every week, and it allocates $100 to their company credit card to use at restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's kind of like Divvy, maybe?
Yeah.
I think Divvy's the same. Yeah. Okay,
just
cool.
better.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
ramp is
So
amazing.
we're always learning out here.
But it's a good perk.
Tell me a little bit about this, because I think this is probably one of the challenges that I see as you get bigger. And you guys have grown substantially. And then you look at, it used to just be everybody wearing all these hats. Obviously, you're still wearing a few different hats, but, you start to get departments. You start to get people that are specialized in doing this one thing and so on and so forth. How have you guys managed, basically managed not creating silos within the business? I think this is one of the biggest things we struggle with. It's like, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, because it's like, well, we just answer the phone. Well, we just dispatch calls. Well, we just do the work. And it's like, well, no. What you're doing affects upstream, downstream. It goes both ways. Like, we've all got to kind of have an idea, not like an intimate knowledge of what everybody's doing, but we've got to have an idea of how our actions impact the others. So take me through how you guys have navigated that, because I know it gets harder as you get bigger.
I've had to teach myself every facet of the business and how all dominoes, and I'm the one that looks at, I've built so many data integrity reports in Service Titan and used AI for one example, after you finish an install, you have to build a recurring service to remind you to reach out to this person in a year. And someone missed that, right? But I had a report that catches that. But if I'm not looking at it, you could do 300 installs and next year you're not being reached out to for filter changes. So I would say, me personally, I've just had to build all these things to keep an eye on every area.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. The person who creates the processes is the person who's done it all. Something that we do really cool at Aqua Clear is this kind of goes into our transparent management style. And like I said, our culture is communication and connection. I tell my team, right? Because we're a team, we're not a family, right? So how you run your play affects me. So we call it a 4x4. It's a relay race. You hand the baton off to me, I run my lap, and I hand it off perfectly to you so you can run your lap. So we're constantly communicating. In that weekly meeting that I talked about where I provide breakfast, that's where they can voice their concerns and bring things up. Now, when people bring things up at Aqua Clear, it doesn't die somewhere. It doesn't just get heard and then dies, right? So if my guys are like, hey, the AI is booking jobs, but the notes aren't good enough. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to see on the notes? They're like, okay, well, I want to know how they're paying and what the problem is. Perfect. Let me add that in there. I add that to the AI bot. I text them that it's done. They say, hey, Lydia, the pipe that we're using right now is not, it's expiring too fast. So I'm like, what if I bought smaller cans so that way it doesn't go bad as fast? And they're like, oh, love that idea. Let's do that. I order them. They get them the next week. So there's action behind the problems that they bring up. And not only that, but also all of my managers have been promoted from the front lines to management. So we don't hire managers from the outside in. We hire managers from the bottom up. And that means that they actually know what happens in your job. So when you say something, they can actually respond with reality. So our leaders, our management, they're like, hey, this is going wrong. It's like, actually, that's just a permission. Let me change that in Service Titan. You should be able to add materials now, no problem, right? Or hey, this mobile check cashier didn't work. Did you use a dark background? No. Okay, well, let's use a dark background and then it'll work. And then we show them how. So it's more of we have a humble and aware and communicative, every department is. And then one other thing that I do, with the job shadow, is once you get into your role, you actually have to job shadow all the other roles. So if you're on the service and maintenance team, you go on an install trip for 2 days. If you're my project supervisor, which is our salespeople, but like I said, we don't sell at Aqua Clear, we sell problems. So we have project supervisors because words matter. My project supervisors have to go on an install trip for at least 2 days because they have to know what they're selling and what those guys are doing for them. And then they need to sit in the office and they need to watch the install manager for a few hours and see what she goes through. So then we also want to treat each other with respect and understanding, because I may think that the girls in the office are sitting on their butt all day, but if I spend 2 hours in the office watching them, I'm going to say, hands off, I could never do your job. Your job is so hard. Thank you for all that you do. I will text you instead of calling you next time because I know your phone rings nonstop all day long, right? So we do the job shadows internally as well to build respect and understanding. And all of my call center girls also go out on the truck with a technician as well. So whenever his notes suck or his pictures aren't there, she can be like, a little more graceful with that.
There you go. Always creating grace. I think we could all do a better job of that in between departments.
Yes.
Let's give everybody a little bit of grace here. Tell me a little bit about you. You said something that I know is controversial, which is fantastic because it sounds like you guys have put a lot of thought into it and are seeing some success. So I want you to go into it a little bit. And JB, maybe you can take this one, is like these managers that start from the bottom. Everybody talks about this, right? It's like, don't put your best guy that's, the best guy out in the field. Don't put him in a manager seat. I've always been, okay, you can, but let's not set them up for failure. It's a different skill set. We've got to train and develop them before we put them in that seat and are like, okay, you're the service manager now. And it's like, I don't know how to do that. And you're like, well, what do you mean? You were my best guy. Like, you don't know how to be the service manager? Like, how have you guys kind of overcome that, I guess?
That would probably be more of a Lydia question. On the sales side, I would say we don't have a sales manager. Everyone just they're all killers though. I mean, they all close at 70% and we don't need management. That's my perspective. I could be wrong and I could be challenged on that idea, but to pay a sales manager 150 plus of where they would need to be high talent, I don't think you would get the returns when I've modeled it out and thought about it. And I don't think you would get respect because they're A players. And I think the A players like someone that is doing it and not just telling you what to do. They're actually like in the field doing it to some extent, but I've never seen a manager that can work in the field and manage work. So it's on the sales side, it's hard for me. But we don't have a sales manager.
Yeah. So we kind of, our departments are set up kind of uniquely. Now just take this as you will, but basically like my call center. So all the girls in the office start out in the call center, right? And then they go to service and maintenance, and then they could go to install or they could go to sales. So like my CCR sales manager, she came from the call center, right? So she was in the service and maintenance department, and then she went to sales. So she understands the other department, and she's been promoted within. So she knows how to do the job, but all of our managers are working managers. We believe in like frontline ownership, frontline management. If you're away from the front line, I don't respect you, and I don't think that you know what you're doing, and I don't think that that's good for your team. No one at Aqua Clear sits in a chair and is like, you didn't hit your numbers. Why didn't you hit your numbers? You're like, oh, shoot. Like, we've been missing 5 calls. Let me hop on the phones. How can I help you? Can I pick this up? Can I pick this up? So everyone here is an active, moving, shaking. They've been in your spot. They know your spot. They know how to do your job when you're not here. And that is what's bred the culture of communication. And so from that aspect, like the managers maybe aren't the most, like we'll have like a senior tech. So we have an install manager who's April, who's amazing. She's literally my heart, and the rest of the offices. She's never been an installer, right? But she is the install manager. So what did she do? She went on a ride along. She learned the install. She asked the guys questions in order to understand what they did and respect them and have understanding for it. So she stayed curious. So she doesn't have to be the best installer. I don't even think she's ever installed anything, but I would love to have her go try. But she gained their respect through listening to them and understanding them, and then she holds them to their expectations too, right? Just because she's a super nice, sweet lady, she's not gonna be like, oh, well, that's okay. It took you 6 hours. She's like, well, it should have taken you 4. Try better next time. I'm giving someone else the job first, right? So she's gonna still hold them accountable to things once she understands them. But we don't have the best person in the department who becomes the manager. We do it based off the person who can actually lead and the person who's gonna have the soft skills to make those people feel loved and accepted and understood and heard. So we go more for soft skills than hard skills in almost everything that we do, because I can train hard skills. I mean, I know how to plumb in a water heater. It's not rocket science. All you got to do is be taught it, right? So that's how I feel in the other stuff. We promote for soft skills. We can give you the hard skills. I can give you the dashboard. I can give you the numbers. I can teach you how to accomplish them, right? But I have to have someone who's actually going to do it and sit in that seat and finish the job and follow it through. So.
I want to shift gears a little bit because I don't think that we can interview you guys without talking about kind of software, some of kind of the leading edge stuff that you are doing. Obviously, I had Ellen Rohr was out here last week, and I interviewed her, and I was like, I had this whole script and I'm like, I don't think I need to ask any of these questions. Like, you were just going with it. So just rock and roll. And I'm just like, yeah, this is great. But obviously working with Service Titan, you guys are huge advocates of Service Titan, built a bunch of stuff. JB, I know that's kind of your baby and what you've kind of built and some of the stuff. And we were talking before about connecting you with some of our guys and seeing what things you could build. But tell us a little bit about how you guys have leaned into that and how it's really helped the business.
I've always wanted to build a lot of things, but working with developers and stuff, it was always so expensive and they didn't have the context that I did and it was hard for me to, build a project plan for them where it would work like I wanted to. So once Claude came out and these tools where you can vibe code things, it literally was like the coolest thing in the world for me because I never taught myself to like super code, and these tools gave me the access to actually do things that I've always wanted to do. So over the past year and a half, I've just built a ton of apps and things I've always wanted to build. The first one I built was with a developer. It was a free water report. So it was basically, this was one when I used a developer, but in our game, it's kind of a lead magnet where you can get a free water report to like look at your water quality based on your zip code, and we use it as a lead gen. So that was like my first project I ever built with a developer that had a good amount of success to generate leads, because it's a very hard lead to generate where strangers coming into your house and doing a sales presentation. So this was a way to kind of, pique interest. Recently though, I've built a bunch of different things. One is, we built a yard sign app. So we used to have an app that we paid for where people put yard signs out. They took a picture and then, it was on a map and, could vibe code that in a day now. And now you have your own yard sign, little leaderboard.
He made it in 2 hours. Don't pretend like he made it in a day. It took him 2 hours.
And then you can spiff off that, not a huge deal. Another one is a client map. So when our salespeople go out, they pull up a client map, and in the presentation, they're saying, hey, here are all your neighbors that use us and trust us with their water. And it's a great selling tool for herd theory of just like, man, this many people do this? That's awesome. So that one's pretty neat. Another one, and you can tell me to shut up whenever.
There's a lot
about these.
That's one one.
Yeah, and then a neighborhood map. So now we have a lead gen where we can do direct mail and say, scan to see all your neighbors around you. They scan it, they type in their address, and then it pulls all the water quality data and all their neighbors that have a system from us, as like a lead gen thing to show proof that this is a good idea.
Yeah, the social proof is so powerful. I think we get a ton of stuff of like, yeah, I see your trucks in our neighborhood all the time. Like, hey, if I was just at a cookout with Billy down the street over the weekend and he looked like he had you out, but if he trusts you, I'll trust you. So yeah, those things are super valuable, and I think things that we often overlook. It's like, well, let's run another TV ad. It's like, well, like with technology today, some of the guerrilla marketing of old that used to be really hard, and it was like you didn't do it because like you couldn't track it. Well, now you can track all this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, another cool one I built is every sales appointment, I build a custom landing page. So in Service Titan, we have a job type called home demos, which is basically a sales appointment. It builds that client a unique landing page. So it'd be like, hey, Chad Peterman, the headline changes based on your name. And then it shows all the neighbors that trust us on a map. And then it shows their water quality data. So I text that before the sales appointment, like, hey, also check out this free report I put together for you. So And then I have it automated where it adds a tag to the job of ServiceTitan report viewed. And then I've run historical data on it. So the close rate went up 30% if they viewed that report. So I always thought about, I can increase the close rate more on how I pre-sell people rather than what the salesperson can do. So I'm basically pre-selling these people before they go out to build trust. So when they walk in the door, there's just a lot of trust already built there. That's my goal on that report. It increased the close rate by 30%.
So good.
If they viewed it.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. That's just phenomenal. And I know what a lot of listeners are thinking. Like, I can't build this stuff. I'm never going to be able to do that. And I think that, just like you said, it's like you don't know how to code. Yeah, you had obviously background that kind of led you into this, but like, I think it's unbelievable. And I'm not like saying I'm an expert on Claude by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that there's a lot of people who are experimenting with it. I feel like all of our reporting at this time is like transferring over to Claude. And it's like, hey, I need to see all this data like in a dashboard so that we can view it either on a TV screen or we can use it for a meeting. Like, how boring have meetings been? It's like, well, I think that's a problem, but maybe it isn't. Where it's like, no, I need to see all of it together, and it needs to turn green or red, and then we know where the problem is, and we can go attack the problem rather than sitting around a table for 45 minutes, like thinking up what we think might be the problem. It is just incredible.
Another crazy one I did that's going to save an absolute ton of money. Now, I don't know how y'all do estimates, but we build templates, right? And our salespeople can change prices. I don't know if y'all have locked it down where no one can change, which would probably be the smarter move, and you wouldn't have this issue. But if I'm selling 30 estimates a day, I had no way, unless I hired a full-time person to review every estimate, and it would get hidden. They would change the template price, delete a discount, they would add a free item, stuff like this, right? That is very hard to view because the template was changed. Now I have a dashboard that's hooked to the ServiceTitan API. It comes in, it's built in Supabase with a database, and I've taught it, if they give a free item, calculate that into the discount on what that was priced at. Take the template price and put it against what actually happened here and show me the variance. So now every estimate is reviewed perfectly to find when stuff was given for free or more discounts than they should and all that. Now, if you don't let people change prices, then you don't have that issue, but we did.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even if you don't, there's other places within the business where stuff is, especially as you scale, like you said, if you're selling 30 jobs a day, you can't review everything timely. And then it just becomes like, well, screw it. Like, we're going to lose some, we're going to win some, we'll figure it out later. And it's like, well, no, today we can actually review that and make changes on the fly. And I think most importantly, hold people accountable. Like, not trying to get you in trouble. It's not a, hey, I got you.
Yeah, it's basically just like, hey, man, why'd you change this or why'd you give this? And now that the spotlight's on, people are just, know it's being looked at.
Well, perfect. Well, I knew this would happen, but we're kind of running up against time here. I know you guys are busy and things like that, but I don't want to, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but again, I said it's probably the question that I get asked the most. And I guess for you guys working as siblings, it sounds like Dad's still kind of in the business, obviously brought in more family members, all of that. Like, tell me, like, what has been some of the things that, like, you've learned about, like, hey, it's a lot easier to navigate when we kind of think about it like this, or we attack problems in this fashion. I know you said your dad asked a lot of questions. Like, how do you two navigate that on like the day-to-day working together?
I would just say we all respect each other, and we know we have everyone's best interest. And we all are pretty good at what we do, so we respect each other. Sometimes in a family business, you have someone that's a freeloader and doesn't do much, and that's kind of hard to not have respect, for that person. So I think that's where animosity builds. would be my perspective.
Yeah. And the communication of it too. Like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, hey, I feel like like we'll tell each other whenever we feel like something's lacking, right? Like, hey, Lydia, your inventory count was off again. You manage that department, get it together. And then we'll call each other out, and we don't, we don't take it offensively. Like, we're literally just doing something wrong. We don't take it home. We're not sensitive people. It's literally just black and white. It's like you either succeeded or you failed, and there's no in between. Or we'll talk about the grape year, like, hey, I didn't have time because I was working on this. Let's see if we can go upstream and fix some of these problems too. So whenever we talk about it, we're very solution-based. We're very communicative about, different things like that. But I would say as family, you guys are different too. So like we all have different dreams of where Aqua Clear should go. And like we continually talk about that and mold and move to what the other person's wanting. And we kind of just meet in the middle on a lot of stuff. We'll voice our opinions, and then whatever gets worked, that's just the route that we go, right? So there might be a marketing idea that I don't like, but Dad and JB are on board, so then I'm bought in, right? So we don't like make something someone else's fault. We don't we're a team, like I said, so we're not a family, we're a team. And we just support each other, and we talk, and we bring ideas to each other, and we all work really freaking hard. So we respect each other very much so. So we're all working 70 hours a week or building value that lasts for 70 hours a week.
Love it. Yep. I think I see a lot of similarities in kind of how we've worked as a family. Obviously, as I said at the outset, my dad was very much like yours, and that he kind of let us make our own mistakes and do our own thing and so on and so forth. And then, today, I think it's all about kind of swimming in your lane, like you guys talked about. It's like, hey, you're good at these things. I'm good at these. I'm not going to question every decision. I'm just going to trust that you know what you're doing. And, if we do have issues or you need some advice, hey, let's talk about it. I always tell people I got plenty of opinions. But if I gave my opinion on everything, then I'd be doing everything. And that's not how we're going to scale.
There's a good book called Speed of Trust, and I think would be a great read for a lot of people. Is just, your business grows to the level of what you trust your teammates to do, and trust is the biggest thing.
Where are you guys working on? What do you see over the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you guys want to take this? I know you've got kind of multi-location across Tennessee and different stuff like that. Is it another state? Is it, what are you guys looking at? What's next on the docket?
My big agenda right now is getting into well drilling, because it's a demand service, and I want to add demand service to kind of add to the home improvement side. So we're going to do well pumps and things. We're not going to drill the wells initially, because that's $1 million rig.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for someone right now to hire to run that business unit. So
So definitely adding another trade. That's
because we already have a ton of demand where clients ask us for it, but we don't do it. And it seems like the best thing for us, and it's very uncompetitive market.
Yeah. And then we want to perfect everything that we're currently doing. So the other side of that is, before we grow and add other locations, just hearing our team out. Growth is hard when you don't have things at home, right? So I don't want my Nashville team to be well, why'd you go to, Florida? You don't give me enough attention, right? So I want to make sure that everything's rocking and rolling and clean. We've been growing 30% for the last, how many years?
I think 5 or 6.
5 or 6 years at a 30% rate. So that's our goal, and that's where we feel most healthy. So we're making some decisions in order to hit those goals, but we're taking our growth pretty slow. And we want it that way so we can keep a handle on it, and our team doesn't feel expanded and they don't have the stretch marks to prove it, right? We want to feel consistently getting better every year. I would be amiss if I didn't say our slogan right now for the last 3 years is good, better, best. Never let it rest. The good get better and the better get best. So we're in our year of better right now, and last year was good. So right now we're cleaning up some processes, making SOPs, making pay plans, making sure everyone's on the same page. And then next year is going to be our year of perfection, best. And then we might see growth in other areas after that. But
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I was just talking the other day about, We had years where we grew really fast, and fast growth seems great until you turn around at the end of the year and you're like, oh my God. Well, actually, it's not at the end of the year. It's like halfway through the next year when you're realizing you have all of these things that are broken, because there's the law of there's only so much time in a day, and you can only build process and procedure, and people can only learn and train so quickly that you have to be respectful of that, or else you can break stuff. And what that usually ends up being is you go backwards, or people get frustrated and they're not on your team anymore, and so on and so forth. So I think that the way you guys are going about it, I think is super smart. Even though you're growing quite rapidly, it sounds like it's very, very dialed, very, hey, this is how we're going to kind of step through this. And then I think you're seeing that growth as a result, not as, hey, this is the goal and we're going to break a lot of things getting there, which I think is super
smart. We put a lot
smart.
of technology in place that scales, and you don't have to build it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've automated a lot of our, especially the front end office. And that's one thing that I think our team would say that they love, is that we took so much of their manual data entry admin work away from them. JB just brought in Claude and Zapier. And then we use Forms and Service Titan to automate and pin notes. So people aren't doing if you had a
basically just constant review of processes and saying, is there a better way, is what I think about all the time. Show me how you do this. There's a new product out which would crush in your organization. It's called Scribe.
Mm.
It films everyone's computer and it tells you manual processes people are doing. And then you, in a company your size, would be amazing. And then you can start to attack that. It's really cool.
It's basically anytime we would have a change in a department, like someone got fired or quit or hired, we would look at everyone's SOPs. I would have everyone write out their SOPs, write out their expectations. And I'd be like, okay, let's use this. What can I automate in this? And thankfully I have...
Or do we need to do it anymore?
Yep.
A lot of people, you just do it every day and it's like, is this needed? So before you add, always ask what you can cut.
Mm-hmm. And then the team feels that because I'm not just adding more and more on their plate. Every time I add something, I take something away or I pay raise. So then at least my money's where my mouth is. But they feel support in that because they're seen and they're helped and they're given the AI tools or the automations to not have to do the boring stuff that makes you feel like your job isn't worth anything. If all I did was copy and paste notes to a different screen, I would be like, my work is not rewarding. I'm not actually helping people. I give them more time to be on the phones to actually solve problems and book jobs and hit their goals.
We could talk for the next probably 3 or 4 hours, but we've all got to get back to work. I think that Scribe piece is such a key thing, because I think the one thing that we always talk about here is that a lot of our team doesn't know what automation can do. So just asking them, it's well, I don't know, oh, I didn't realize that I could write code that would do this automatically. And so being able to see what is it that you're doing? Because we always talk about, it's hey, can this person who knows how to automate things, can they just go sit in accounting and just watch a person? And how many spreadsheets are you opening? How much manual stuff is this? I think it started in Excel.
It is Rilla brought the technology for ride-alongs where it's scaled one manager. I don't even know what the average is, but probably 20 techs that they can ride along with now. Scribe does this for the CTO to see everyone's, workflows and then know what to work on. And it shows how much time they spend on this. It's crazy.
And it clicks. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know you guys are busy and building a great business down there. Really appreciate the time. If someone didn't learn anything from this, then that's on them. All I thought while we were listening to this was, I'm going to make our entire leadership team listen to this, because I just think it's one of those things where you just need to be in the room, right? And it's hey, it may not look exactly like this, but oh, well, we could do that here, or we could do that there. There's just so many things that I think, we can just
got to stay curious.
To create these business.
Motto. Stay curious.
100%. I think that the one thing that I've really challenged myself, I've got 2 shop visits next week that I'm going to, and it's like I got to get back to that. And I've got to go just put myself in a room of where people are thinking about it differently. And it's not that what we're doing is wrong. It's just like, hey, this is a better way to do it. So like, let's do it that way. But really appreciate it.
Go to different industries. People
Yep.
don't realize these best practice groups like Nexstar and stuff, they're great, but you're going to get linear growth with these guys because everyone's doing it the same way. You need to get outside your industry, and maybe they do something over there that's cookie cutter. There was a time where there wasn't financing in home services. The car industry did it all the time. Someone took that idea and they plugged in the home service. Is revolutionary. Memberships. Someone took that from a different industry and put it in the HVAC. That's where the big growth comes, is going to different
Absolutely.
industries and seeing how they do it.
Love it. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you being on. We'll be connecting here in the future, and I've got some connections to make too. And you guys can nerd out on Claude Code and on black screens, as I always joke with them, and all that fun stuff. But Lydia, JB, thanks so much for being on here, and congrats on all the success. It's a lot of fun being in the same room as you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.